welcome to another episode of Undercurrent. I'm Christy Molliker. Now, for many years now, traffic congestion on the Freeway South has become an increasing problem. Finally, the government has come up with a solution. Sarah Miller has the story.
The WA and federal government have developed a $58 million potential solution to the daily frustration of travelling on the Freeway South during peak times. The 4.5 kilometres of freeway between Leach Highway and Roe Highway is being widened from 2 lanes to 3.
What we're doing, Main Roads WA is adding an additional 3rd lane, both north and south on Kwinana Freeway between Roe Highway and Leach Highway. Anyone who uses that section of the freeway at the moment, at both peak ends of the day, it gets very congested. Traffic comes to a grinding halt in some cases, and what this widening project will do is increase capacity along there. What's involved is the addition of a 3rd lane in both the southbound and northbound direction. With that is, of course, improvements to the associated ramps in those areas, as well as street lighting, drainage, etc., and upgrades to all of that. So at the moment we've got something like 107,000 vehicles per day. In 4 or 5 years, that's going to jump to about 113,000 a day. So without this work, without this widening project, it'll just be horrendous. It is going well so far. There's a 10-month design and construct program. It is a very tight program, but our designers, ARPA, are working very well to get the design up and running. This is a jointly funded project by both the federal and state governments, $58 million, so we had to find the money. And Main Roads is delivering it with obviously the help of contractors. We're trying to minimise the impact on the road users during the course of the construction. So what you'll find is there'll still be the maintenance of the 2 lanes of traffic in both directions during the day. There will be lane closures during the evening, but obviously we're doing that during the evening to minimise the impact on the road user. We ask all road users using Kwinana Freeway during the course of construction to please be vigilant, obey all the signs that are along there. There will be speed restrictions. At the moment it's down to 80 kilometres an hour southbound, and that may reduce or will reduce to 60 kilometres an hour for certain periods of the day. The project will extend into April of next year, and there'll be speed restrictions throughout that period. And that's simply just to create a safer work environment for our workers, and of course a safe traffic environment for the public. So we just ask people to be patient with us, and after the pain there'll be the gain. We have sent out letters to residents, and we have done an extensive amount of property investigations. Property owners are certainly invited to request a survey at the end of the project to determine if there has been any impact on those properties, and certainly if there has been some damage caused by the construction works, to certainly notify us, and we'll go out and remedy that. It is all going to plan, which is good. As I say, construction southbound got into full swing about a week ago, and people will see a lot more activity as the weeks roll by.
Although you may experience some minor inconveniences on your journey during the construction period, this much-needed development will provide a major relief to road users once complete. I'm Sarah Miller, reporting for Undercurrent.
Well, so often these days when we watch or listen to the news or read a newspaper, it's full of stories of terrible traffic accidents with lives lost way too soon. But a West Australian company has joined forces with 2 champion rally drivers to try and help teach pre-licensed drivers a thing or two that may just help save their life. As of the 21st of August this year, 105 people died on our West Australian roads as a result of traffic accidents, and I'm sure you will agree that's 105 people too many. Now, we all know there can be some trying times on our roads during wet weather or hazardous conditions, but a new initiative being launched is set to give our youth a head start on safer driving. Speedaware Proprietary Limited is a registered training organisation specialising in industry driver training. This month, however, they are adding another string to their bow with their Speedaware Youth Driver Training and Awareness program, which is aimed at educating pre-licensed drivers to make better decisions about who they get in the car with. Managing Director Mark Breakmans was the brainchild behind the idea.
Speedaware is a registered training organisation and our core business is industry driver training, particularly to the resource sector. However, we do other transport-oriented jobs. For example, we just did a daycare before and after school care company, and we trained up all their drivers as well. That's the basis of it. We've also got a motorsport arm which trades as McRae Motorsport with my business partner Alistair McRae.
Now tell me more about your brand new youth driver training program.
Let's say a young girl's at a party, she's lost her lift, they've left without her, she's waiting for someone to give her a ride home. How does she then decide, okay, it's safe to get in that car, or should I ring my parents? And they need to accept that they have every opportunity to say, I'll decide who I get in a car with and who I don't get in a car with, what car I will get in, what car I won't get in.
John Statari, Managing Director of Proton Cars, also thinks the course is important, with his company joining forces to provide the vehicles.
I think manufacturers around the world spend millions and millions of dollars on making cars safer, but one element we can't control is the road users themselves. So programs like this train drivers to act responsibly behind the wheel. Obviously, we'd like to see not only drivers but passengers be more responsible behind the wheel of cars, and Proton would like to be associated with safer driving, promoting a safer environment for the community and road users in general.
I'll learn how to be safer on the roads, not just like someone else's car, but myself on the roads. Yeah.
I'll learn how to assess a vehicle, and if I'm in a car, I'll learn how to tell the driver to slow down without causing any problems or anything, and I'll learn what works in the car, like the airbags and the brakes and how that all works.
It's no wonder they are signing up already, as it's not just anyone who will be mentoring these students. It's none other than world-class rally driver Alistair McRae and his co-driver Bill Hayes who will be at the helm.
I've competed in motorsport for, it makes me feel old now, but over 20 years. Been professional since 1993. I guess you gain a hell of a lot of knowledge over that time. All that experience I've gained over the years, I think now we can hopefully put that back into not just motorsport training or performance driver training, but into youth driver training as well.
I think a lot of the problems now is cars change. Cars are a lot more modern, driving techniques change. So unless training is done by professional people, often what happens is they create bad habits that are passed on from their parents to their parents and so on. So a youth driver training program where professionals do the work is obviously the way to go for safety.
I think it's really important for young drivers to be aware of situations on the road before they get into a car, because once you're in the car, your safety's in the hands of the driver.
I've got young kids of my own, and when they do go on the roads, I want them to be safe.
As well as helping to educate pre-licensed drivers, the course aims to help keep parents in the loop with regular information sessions throughout the year. You can find out more info by logging onto their website at www.speedaware.com.au. And remember, as the course motto says, with freedom comes responsibility. This is Christy Mollica reporting for Undercurrent. Well, last year, WA introduced laws to prohibit smoking in public places like restaurants and cafes. But should this law be extended to include other public spaces like our city streets? Well, this week, Sarah Miller was right here in the City Mall to find out if you think the whole thing is just smoke and mirrors.
Smoking in public is an ongoing issue for non-smokers. So should smokers be restricted to designated areas? We hit the streets of Perth to find out. What do you think about people smoking in public?
It's nasty. It is actually horrible. It makes me feel ill.
Okay.
Oh, I don't really mind.
It doesn't really bother me so long as I don't blow it in my face.
Yeah. Oh, I just think it's not really good when kids are around. Yeah.
Do it in a separate area.
Each to their own, I guess, but as long as they do it in the designated sections, then it's okay.
I guess the rules we've got in now are pretty okay, because if you make them any stricter, then it's kind of taking away freedom of choice, and a lot of people are going to get a bit, upset about that.
Yeah, I just think it's their choice and they should be able to smoke wherever. Obviously, you know, exceptions like, you know, hospitals or if you're having an outside meal, but then, you know, the restaurants used to have outside smoking areas, so that was not so bad.
What about people who don't smoke and who don't get a choice, you know, about breathing in your smoke?
We're outside, so just move away.
So do you think we should have stricter laws on smoking then, smoking in public?
Definitely, like in public, an actual specific area for smoking.
They've already got that in restaurants, they've got that on, Australia Day. They've got it everywhere already, but if they do that through town, through everywhere else, there's no real point of smoking.
I don't think we need any more restrictions. Now, what about smokers? Where they're going to go? Like, I don't know.
It already is pretty restricted anyway.
Yeah.
You can't smoke everywhere. You can't be undercover at all, even if you are outside like now, type of thing. So.
No, but I mean, people still do it. Do you think there should be stricter laws on this?
Not really. It's all pretty easy.
It's pretty nanny laws as it is now. You can't do, you know, so much.
If we're outside, you don't sort of go up to a group of non-smokers and smoke there. It's not, you sort of go by yourself, but that's it.
Do you think maybe we should have people walking up and down the streets, you know, issuing fines?
Well, I don't think so, no, but like especially in this street, it might be a little bit different because it is more, you know, it is a technically it's a shopping mall just without a roof over the top. So if it'd be classified as a shopping mall, then I think there should be restrictions against certain places, but just in a regular street, I think it's fine.
Yeah, it is a big issue, especially say something like, you know, Murray Street, Hay Street. There should definitely be some sort of inspector, you know, like giving out loads of parking fines and stuff. Why not give out some smoking fines?
It's a hard call because the people that smoke have rights just as much as the people that don't smoke, and it's not illegal to smoke, and that's the problem that we have right now is they're trying to make it illegal to smoke everywhere, and cigarettes aren't illegal, so it's a hard issue.
Well, if you're itching to have your say, you can come and join us in the Murray Street Mall every Tuesday afternoon. We would love to meet you. Stay tuned, more Undercurrent on the other side of this break. Welcome back to Undercurrent and thank you for staying with us. Well, it's been 7 weeks since the Australian government lifted the ban on live animal exports, but the debate still rages on. Should we permanently ban these exports? Nikita Dixon investigates.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a momentous time. Never before have we been closer to ending one of the cruelest trades in Australia's history.
Indonesia has become the catalyst that has moved this terrible trade a step towards extinction.
Our most respected news industry have gone out and sought the evidence and shared it with the Australian people, and lo and behold, we are shocked at that footage.
The horrific treatment of our live exports has sparked strong emotions in our Australian population. With the trade suspension recently lifted, the federal government must now decide its next move. Would you say the footage from Indonesia has done more to raise awareness for this issue than anything else in the past?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I can't imagine anybody seeing that footage and not thinking that it was appalling and abhorrent. I think a lot of people feel that they're helpless. They see things like Four Corners and they don't feel that they can do anything to help. I think coming together like this as a community is very powerful.
There's been a paradigm shift in the way the public's viewing animal welfare in terms of live exports. Since they saw the footage on Four Corners, it's really opened their eyes that there is a problem.
How do you feel about live exports?
Well, I just feel like it's totally unnecessary. There's other options out there.
I think there's no excuse for animal cruelty, and if one animal suffers in the industry of live export, it's one animal too many.
I think it's completely unnecessary and very inhumane.
Well, I think this has been going on for far too long, centuries and centuries. You see what they do to animals in the Middle East, Indonesia. I mean, I feel sorry for the farmers, but, you know, they're animals, and if these farmers are passionate about animals and breeding, or if it's just for the money.
How do you feel about all the people here today rallying about this cause? Do you think that they're well informed?
No, and I think that's probably the saddest thing that we have to deal with here is that a lot of these people have jumped on a bandwagon without fully understanding the industry or fully understanding the facts. So we think we've got a lot of passion out there, but that passion should be directed into improving animal welfare rather than trying to shut down a legitimate industry.
What is the farmers and live exports trades relationship with animal welfare groups like this?
Look, we've worked very hard over a number of years to have a positive working relationship with the RSPCA. I think it's really important for us to remain engaged with animal activists because we're all trying to work towards improving animal welfare outcomes.
What I'm trying to achieve, and particularly with this government here in Western Australia who are very much more open to animal welfare going forward, well, because they've realised the general public now are demanding it. But what we're asking is that the farmers bring animal welfare component into their psyche when doing business. Most of the farming community do not want to see their animals treated in that way.
How did you feel when you saw that footage on Four Corners?
Oh, I was devastated. I mean, no farmer likes to see that sort of footage, and no farmer would condone that sort of treatment of animals. We do everything possible to do the best possible here in Australia. It's the problems that are created overseas over which we've not really got any control. Most of the countries we export to are under OIE standards, and we would expect those standards to be met in every case. And it should be remembered here that the Australian industry, we're the only people in the world that do animal welfare in someone else's country.
Our goal is to see it phased out as quickly as possible and replaced with an expanded chilled and frozen meat trade.
We could do frozen meat export.
I'd like to see the live export trade replaced with the chilled and refrigerated meat trade, so that brings more jobs into Australia. The meat is processed here. We have the animal welfare laws in Australia that protect the animals that are slaughtered here.
The RSPCA and many animal welfare organisations are suggesting livestock industries move more into the chilled meat industry. Is that a viable option for farmers?
Look, it certainly hasn't. It's more to do with the processing industry. You know, there were quite a number of processing works in the northern part of Australia. They basically, in those days, used to process slashback packs for the American market. Those plants eventually become unviable, and to try and turn them into a boxed beef market into Indonesia and other Southeast Asian markets, that they just wouldn't be viable with the cost of labour in Australia, the cost of running plants in places like Broome, Katherine and Alice Springs. It was just completely unviable. Has been tried in the past. They all went broke. We just couldn't possibly compete in Australia in processing them onshore and still have access to that market. We would lose that market forever.
The central issue to this is simply that we abhor animal cruelty.
We spend a lot of money trying to make sure it's done well, and we'd expect that if we can do that we'd expect to be able to export.
I'd like to see us continue what we've been doing all along and continue to improve and invest in animal welfare, improve the standards overseas.
We're hoping for a phase out of the live export trade. Whilst ever animals are going to these countries, then we're really demanding that animal welfare be considered as part of doing business.
With so many people invested in the future of live exports, it isn't going to be easy to find a solution to suit everyone. Regardless of the outcome though, it's at least a step in the right direction. I'm Nikita Dixon for Undercurrent.
Everybody loves a good brew. I know I sure do. Sarah Miller went to visit the Sail and Anchor in Fremantle to find out just which WA beers are best. Thank you, Jessie.
With 3 gold medals in Australia's top beer awards and a gold medal in the International Beer Championships, it is no wonder Nail Ale Stout was named the best beer in WA in 2008. To find out what makes an award-winning beer, I spoke to Nail Ale brewer John Stolwood.
It's a lot of hard work, a lot of passion. I've been brewing a long time now, and that's one reason why WA breweries seem to go good in awards is the microbrewery boom started in WA, or originated at Sail and Anchor in 1984, and many breweries started in the early 2000s. So we've got lots of breweries that have been had lots of experience now, and WA is known for its quality of craft beer. The entries are opened and we enter our beers in different styles. Then you have your delivery dates, everyone sends their beer to be judged, and judging's done by private tasting and by each different style, where the judges taste the, look at the beer, smell the beer, taste the beer, give feedback and a score. They don't know what beer brand it is, they just know what style it is and judge it how good it is to that style.
What Nail Ale beers in particular contributed to winning these awards?
Nail Brewing brews three main beers. One's Nail Ale, which is an Australian pale ale that's performed very well at the Australian International Beer Awards. It's got gold for the last 3 years. And the other main beer is Nail Stout, which is oatmeal stout, and that's won gold at both Sydney and Perth, and best Australian stout 8 times now. The other beer which I just brewed recently is Clout Stout. It's an imperial stout, a high alcohol like 10.7%, and that's new, but it's started to win some medals.
With over 42 beers on tap, the Sow and Anchor is renowned for being one of the best beer venues in Perth. I spoke to Assistant Manager Stuart McMillan about the most popular beers in WA.
The people who come here is very diverse. We do try to cater for such a large amount of people. So the Sow and Anchor Dry Dock is fairly popular, but we also, probably the Fremantle Doctor, right now the Chief is fantastic, the Mash Chief. It depends what's going on at the time. We do a lot of promotions as well.
Nail Ale beers have won several awards. What makes their beer the best in the state?
The taste. The Nail Ale is it's not full on, it's very sessionable. You can sit there, you can have a few pints of it and not feel bloated, whereas some of the other beers are really full on. So it's more of a general market. Everybody likes it, from the young girls to the older guys.
What is the beer produced here at the Sow and Anchor?
We still have a couple of our own recipes that are contract brewed out at Ferrell. We do our own Indian English style IPA. That's been on tap here for about 15 years, and we do the Brass Monkey Stout as well, which is fantastic. It's a lot better than Guinness.
What is the process of making an award-winning beer?
Good ingredients, bit of luck, and a lot of time into it. I think that's what I think the best beers, that's what happens. It's got to be well balanced. You know, the malt and the hops, so you know it fits on the palate good. Yeah, just got to be clean. It's depends on what style of beer. Like beers comes in different styles. Each style has its own characteristics, and if you can fit it to that style good, then it's a good beer.
I'm Sarah Miller, reporting for Undercurrent.
Well, if the last story didn't make you thirsty, the next one sure will. Nick Hayes chats to one of Perth's most iconic figures, Rick Hart.
Is it true this program was brought to you by WA's most trusted car dealer, John Hughes?
Absolutely.
Rick, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, nice to be here, Nick. Beautiful day.
It's a beautiful day in Perth, isn't it?
It is, perfect.
How's those Fremantle Dockers going?
Well, they're struggling a little bit at the moment, as we know, but it's a bit like a hospital ward out there, so they're sort of finding it a bit hard. And this week, of course, they're up against Collingwood, which will be a pretty mean task, I would think, with the restricted list, shall we say, that they'll have.
As the president of the Fremantle Dockers a few years back now,
yep.
What did you see from the very beginning? How did you see the club emerge from where they were before your leadership?
Yeah, look, I think they've always been sort of on the cusp of showing something at various times throughout the 15 or 16 year history that they've been in the AFL.
What do you make of the current administration there at Fremantle?
Oh, look, I think that's fine. I think the club's in really good shape. It's one of the top 5 in the AFL in terms of its performance and its membership is very, very strong. This year they've been devastated by injury, and it's you know, whilst no one makes excuses, it's always hard to perform if you don't have your top group on the track.
Would there be anything you'd be doing differently if you were the current president now?
Oh gosh, I think he'd be probably tearing his hair out, but as is the coach, I'd imagine. But no, look, I think these are things that you have to put up with in football. You can't control injuries, collision injuries, and that's what most of them have been. And you've had big toes and broken leg. I think 3 broken legs and all that sort of thing, and that's what really devastates you.
You haven't had the right to your own name for a while now, and now that the stores have all changed over to Harvey Norman, is it good to have your name back?
Well, I haven't got the name back, of course, but it's probably good that there's no confusion out in the marketplace, and that will disappear in the next few weeks. But having said that, it's also sad that it's an iconic brand in WA, and it's been so for 36 years.
What was that like to see the Rick Hart going over to Clyde Peters and then now obviously changed over to Harvey Norman?
Well, I mean, this is the crux of it, and I guess I've probably been a bit conditioned over what's happened in the last 18 months or so. This now is just a matter of fact, and whilst it's disappointing, I've sort of moved on, and it's one of those things you just have to put up with in life.
Kitchen headquarters is now opened up. Tell us a little bit how it's going.
Yeah, look, it's going really well. It's been going less than 12 months. Beautiful coffee coming up, and it's progressing along really well in what's a pretty tough retail environment out there, as everyone knows. So it's certainly a unique and innovative showroom. It's what I wanted to produce, and I think we've managed to nail that, and it's getting really good support from not only from the public but from also interior designers and architects and builders and so on. So it's going good.
What advice would you give to someone who's just kicking off their career?
Yeah, look, it'd be a tough time to be starting off a career. The two things that I think you need is capital, or access to capital, so that you don't have to be dipping into the honey pot too often. And the other thing is to really plan and have a blueprint for what you want to do over not just sort of in the next month, but maybe out 5 years, so that you actually know what you're working towards.
Rick, what do you love about Perth?
Oh, well, I love this weather. I love the lifestyle. I love the fact that we've got the greatest beaches in the world. It's 3 hours away from probably the best places that you can imagine: Margaret River, Broome, Barley. It's just it's a gateway to pleasure for any Perth resident.
Well, that's all we could fit in for you this evening here on Undercurrent. Next week, Jason Jordan will be back at the helm. In the meantime, I'm Christy Mollica. It's been an absolute pleasure to have your company, and we look forward to seeing you next week right here on Undercurrent.